started.
Okay, all right. Great.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I'm your anchor as always. My name is Engineer Adeshino, and it's a pleasure to be hosting one of my very good friend in the house in our AIGE Career Day series. This is the one for November 2021. Interestingly, we've been having this series since 2018 when we started off. And it used to be a physical meeting, but with the new normal and everything, we have moved the career day to a virtual session, which for me, I'm even loving it because before now, we used to fry puff puff and soft drink for everybody attending. But we don't have to do that any longer. You can just be at the comfort of your house, and most importantly, still gain the knowledge and have an opportunity to expand your network from the wonderful capacity and the faculty that we bring to bear during this meeting. So today it's a pleasure to have someone that I've known for close to 8 years now.
Yeah.
She has been instrumental to my life because everybody in Nigeria wants to work in an oil and gas company. And she was my first HR in oil and gas company in Nigeria. Coincidentally, when I moved to the second company, the two companies also merged and the friendship has continued, you know. And now that I'm in fully private practice, she's still a friend of the family. Her name is Joyce, and she's a wonderful fellow. For all of you that are up and coming, you want to have an opportunity to have a meeting with a HR, someone that you can look up to. I bet you that this is one of the person that, if you are wise, you can start linking up from LinkedIn and grow your network. She's one of the most vibrant young HR in Nigeria right now. I'm not saying that because she's a friend, no. She has worked with some of the best companies, still in one of the best companies, those companies that when you hear their name, everybody in Nigeria wants to work for those companies. So you're going to learn a lot from her. Pay attention, and she will be taking us through the business of you. I believe most of you have a business with AIGE. Ordinarily, the youth don't have business with anybody. So if it doesn't concern them, they are not doing it. So pay attention because you are going to learn a lot. At this point in time, I'm going to leave the floor open for Joyce to come up. Then she's going to navigate the meeting as she would like. I will just come in to moderate at some point. If you have any questions while she's talking, please use the chat column to ask your questions. I'll be picking the questions up, and at any given opportunity, I will be asking her the questions. So once she's talking, if you have any questions, just put it on the chat box so that we don't break her flow once she starts the presentation. And yes, when she's done in about 30 minutes, we'll still have a Q&A session, and we'll call it a day for today's career session. So with a round of applause, you can use emoji, you can use the chat box. Let us welcome Joyce to the microphone. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, Adeshina. I almost didn't recognize myself with all that intro. So good afternoon to everybody, and thank you. Thank you for coming and being a part of today's program. So to start with, I just want you to tell me, how is the weather where you are? How is it? I'm in Lagos, I'm in a part of Lagos, and it is very, so I'll put mine, just put yours in the chat room. So I'm going to put mine there. Sunny, hot, steaming. So just put your weather. I want to see your responses in the chat. We have about how many of us here? So just tell me, how is the weather in your location? And maybe you can also add your location. So I'm in Lagos. So I want to know where people are joining from. It will help us with some sort of analysis of, to know our bearings. So yes, somebody said it's steaming hot here over here in Ibadan. Chill and cool. Oh my God, I wish you could transfer some to Lagos. We need a bit of that rain to blow away the dust and all the harassment and the stress of Lagos traffic. Chilling and cool again, just cool, not too hot. Port Harcourt, sunny but cool. Port Harcourt, nice, really nice. It's nice to see that some are having a good day. It's cool and rainy. I don't know a lot of people like the rain, but the rainy season is part of what we have in Nigeria. So we have to just appreciate that there's a season called the rainy season and there's a season called the dry season. Although because of a lot of the things that are happening in the world right now, we cannot really differentiate them anymore, because this is November and it's still raining in some places. Sometimes it still rains in December, but growing up, it never always used to be that way. So I'm going to put up my camera so that I can really focus. Sometimes when the camera is on, you are like trying to look and everything, but I just wanted like you to put a face to the person before I proceed with what I want to present today. So I'm going to put off my camera, if you don't mind. When we are through with the discussions, I'll put it back on, then you can still see my face again. So like I said, welcome. And thank you very much for being a part of this program. And it's interesting, I know you're wondering, why did she call this the business of you? I felt that, it was something to talk about you as a person. A lot of the time, we don't take out the time to realize that we as you as a person, as an individual, you matter or you're important, and you as an entity, you are actually a business unto yourself. So starting out in life, you can actually, when you actually realize that you are a business and you as a person, you are an entity, you are a corporation, you will begin to actually deal with some issues as, with a business kind of mindset. That way, you are not thrown about in life. You are able to actually focus and realize that you have to own every situation you come across in your life. So I'm going to do what I call 3 of 3. There will be 3 different items, and within each 3, I'll have 3 points to emphasize. So the 3 items I want to focus on today, I'll start with your life. So let me just give you 3 items so that for each one, you know where I am placing every subheading. So 3 of 3, 3 major headings, and in each heading, there are 3 points I would like for you to take home. So the first item is your life. The second one is your work. And the third one is your money. We know that each of these ones is very, very important. And I'm going to break each one down by, giving you subheadings. But before I start breaking them down, I want to say something very crucial here. I want you to know that as an individual, as an entity, as a person, you are valuable. You have value on this earth. You have a right to be on the earth. Nobody has more rights than yourself to be on the earth. You have a voice. You have a purpose. You have a reason. You are an entity. You are very valuable. So for example, let me ask now, and you can also put it in chat, because I want this to be as interactive as possible as well. I just want to ask you, if I say, I want to buy your hand for $1 million, will you agree? If yes, put 1. If no, put 2. Now, I know that we can be mischievous, but let's just be realistic about this and think critically. Somebody said 2 for $1 million. If yes, I say if you are willing to sell your hand, your arm for $1 million, you're willing to sell your arm for $1 million, I should have a meeting with you after this class. But notwithstanding, what I'm trying to tell you is you are so valuable that when you look at your body, somebody said increase the offer, someone said never. So when you look at your body from your head to your toe, do you know that you are valuable? Do you know that you cannot construct your digestive system? Do you know the length of your small intestine? Do you know the length of your big intestine? Do you know the kind of work these things put into process to when you put food into your mouth, from when it goes in and when it comes out at the other end? You are valuable. And it doesn't matter what you've been through. It doesn't matter the difficulties or the challenges you face in life. You have a right to be here, and you are very, very valuable. And I'm not speaking because I'm trying to motivate you or drive you. I want to tell you something that I wish someone told me when I was younger, that you are valuable and you have a right to be on this earth. You have a right to be sitting at the table where you are sitting. You are important. No matter what, do not let anyone make you feel less than. I want you to have this at the back of your mind at any point in time. Tell yourself, I am valuable. I am useful. You may have faced some failures. You may have faced rejection. You may have faced heartache. These things coming to attack your value. That's the cocoa, like we say. Is the cocoa is that they want to attack that value that you have in you, so you can doubt your existence or your reason for being alive. So you are very, very valuable. Put this at the back of your mind at any point in time. When you sit down, when you look at people, you're as valuable as the richest man on the earth. You have a right to have a voice, just like anybody else has a right to have a voice. So don't never allow anyone to make you feel less than you should be. You are valuable. So I wanted to just put that out there first and foremost before we now actually go into the nitty-gritty discussion about the business of who you are. You are indeed a business. You know, within your demographic, you should be able to come into your own. So at this point, you may have a lot of potential, but you have choices. You have choices that you can make to bring out that potential and be the best you that there is. So one of the best things that you've actually now acquired is somebody trying to say something. Rashidat is unmuted. Okay. Sorry? So Rashidat is unmuted. Shino, can you check that? Okay, she's muted now. So, so you should be able to come into your, and you have one of the best things that anybody can have. If you look at the demographics and just go onto Google, if you check the literacy rates, you will find that there's a lot of illiteracy in the world. But now you have acquired an education. And education gives you some sort of upper hand in the world. When you go through school, for example, that rigor, it's called rigor because it's a process. You're driven, you have to go for lectures, you have to write exams, you have to sit, burn the midnight lamp, read, and you force information into your brain, and then go to an exam, and you are asked questions. It develops your brain, it develops your neural pathway so that your brain is expanded, so that when you talk to people, when you relate with people, you have something to bring to the table. You are able to speak intelligently, you're able to understand processes and be able to reason and think. So that is one of the best things education can do for you, and one of the best things that education has actually done for everyone. So take that fact that education has made you or put you in a certain class. It has put you in a certain class. So Martin Luther said something. He said, the function of education is to teach us to think. So it's not just to acquire a paper document, but it teaches you to think. It teaches you to reason, it teaches you to become creative. It puts you in a certain class and gives you a sort of stepping stone, so to say, to actually begin to grow and become what you are meant to be on the earth. Is the first step. Is the first step. So education that you have is a very valuable thing that you have, and you are already on that path to become more than, or something that you ought to be. So having said that, I want to talk now about your life. So remember, I said 3 things I'm going to talk about: your life, your work, and your money, because I know these things are important. So starting with your life, I will put a test on the chat. Well, I won't put it now so that you don't get distracted and go and start running the test to check your personality. So the first thing I would like to talk about is your personality. When I administer that test, you are able to know your dominant personality, because in life, we all have different kinds of personalities. And then for everybody, people have a mix of personalities, but there's usually one dominant personality. What your personality helps you to do is to understand yourself. Understanding yourself is very crucial, because if you don't understand yourself, you will not really know why you do the things the way you do. There used to be a book back then that said, why I do things the way I used to do, is way back sometime in the 90s. Of course, some of you probably weren't born at that time, but I went to school at that time. So we read that book, why do I do things the way I do? But you will find that in some tests, when you go for some tests, they put you through what they call psychometric. Anthony is okay. So I think it's muted now. So they put you through what they call some psychometric tests. You are actually the way you think is out of that personality. Your personality doesn't only help you to understand yourself, it helps you to know how to relate with other people, because each person comes with a personality type. And because they come with a personality type, your partner or your friend may be behaving in a setting, will be like, why is this person behaving this way? Why is this person acting like this? But when you go through that personality test, you understand yourself. When somebody is acting in a certain way, you say, oh, okay, this is personality. How do I relate with this personality? By knowing your personality, also, you know your strengths and your weaknesses. So you know the areas that you need to work on. You know the challenges, you know your weaknesses. Let me give you an example, because everybody has a personality type. So my personality also comes with a bit of peacemaking. I love to have peace around me. And so in that process of wanting just to have peace, then people will take advantage of me, and then they will do things because I'll just keep quiet. Oh, I don't want to fight. I don't want to quarrel. I'll just keep quiet and just let them know they'll be piling on me. Then one day I'll just explode. But I learned that if I don't like something, because that was my weakness, because I want to have peace, it was a strength at the same time, a weakness. But I learned from knowing about my personality that if I want to do anything, and if I don't like something, I can find a way to communicate it without being nasty. Because when I let it pile up, when I explode, I will end up saying things that I didn't mean to say. So sometimes when something is building, I go and I take a piece of paper and I write it in a way that I know I'm communicating my feelings or my emotions. The person doesn't have to validate what I'm feeling, but I'm able to communicate it so that they know that, oh, this thing is not what I don't like this. Please don't do this because A, B, C, D. I'm able to communicate it clearly. If they really want to continue to be my friends, then they would compromise or amend their ways. Or if not, then you don't have to be friends with somebody forever, or you can be unfriend yourself temporarily and move on. So your personality is very important. It determines to a large extent how you do things, the way you go about life. So I'll administer that test once I'm done with my talking. I'll just put it on the chat. You can click on when you click on it, it will open up to that point where you run that test for yourself. You check who you are, understand your personality. Then your relationships. In life, relationships are like a currency. They're like a currency that you can touch on. Now, at the introduction, Additional talked about how we met, how we've gotten to know ourselves. At the time I met Additional, he said, I was his HR. At no time did I ever think that, oh, one day will come when Additional will be running his own business and he will say, oh, come and have a conversation with, my people. It never occurred to me, but we've developed a relationship over the years, a mutually respectful relationship of interaction and conversations. And, I check on with him. Oh, how are you doing? How is this going? He checks with me as well and goes, oh, how are you? How is work? Are there, is there any way I can come in? Is there anything you want me to do for you? And we have developed that relationship as a currency. Relationships matter so much that you really need to know how to manage them. And like I said, your personality, knowing how to handle the relationships in your life also comes to play when you talk about knowing your personality and understanding other relationships. So an understanding of your personality not only help you for yourself, but help you in the relationships that you form. So when you go through that personality test, it will also help you with that. Then your purpose. Now, purpose, we've flogged purpose to some extent. At the same time, there is nothing wrong with purpose. But I like to define purpose as what I am concerned with at the moment. Purpose is usually something that is outside of yourself. It's bigger than you. So it's something that, you want to do that brings you joy. For example, you can be a volunteer at a care home or at a motherless baby's home, and that kind of gives you joy. And in that process of being that volunteer in a motherless baby's home, you now realize that there are some motherless babies around where you are, and then you now start reaching out to them, and then you now create something out of that process. So that purpose is something that is outside of you. That's something that is bigger than you, that will bring you joy. You need to find that thing, that one thing outside of yourself that, oh, it's not just about money, it's not just about going to work, it's not just about earning a living. Your purpose is also very, very important. So 3 of your out of your life now, we've talked about your personality and administer the test. We've talked about your relationships. And even dwelling more on relationships, as a young person coming up, it's so important that you know people who have gone ahead of you, who are steps ahead of you, that can guide you in some areas. Now, I'll talk about relationships that lead to, say, for example, the marital union. And that's one area that it's very, very important that you actually do know people who can guide you in selection, because that is one major area that can make or mar a person. It may not totally destroy, but right or wrong choices in that area can make a whole lot of difference. So finding mentors, they are all around you. Your mentor doesn't have to be one big director in one big company. It might be somebody that you are seeing that is successful. The person is doing well in their own small field. And for anybody to be successful in anything, trust me, that person is disciplined in some way, and that person can teach you something. A lot of the time, in the younger generation, there's that tendency to say, oh, I can do things all by myself, or I can find out I'm all good. But these days, you find that communities are springing up that relate to different areas of life. Even career-wise, there are communities that you can join in order to build up your build up your knowledge. So that is that for the first item, which is your life. Then let's go on now to your work. Your work. And when it comes to your work, I would like to just say something. A job is what you find to do at any given time. Finding a job or finding something to do and eschewing idleness, avoid any form of idleness of any type, is very, very important. So in your work, let me talk, the first item there is your job or your career. So for starters, start with whatever your hand finds to do. Start with whatever is within your reach. Sometime back, for example, I was in between jobs. And at that time, I started doing real estate agency. It wasn't my core area, but I did not want to be idle. So when you are thinking about work, sometimes we're looking at the big companies, we're looking at some big role with a big name. It doesn't necessarily, you don't have to start from there. When I started my career, I started as a receptionist in a hotel, but it was something to pay the bills at that time. So it's so important that you don't only start and only wait until you get that big role before you start to work. Start with what your hand finds to do. Even if it's bringing 5 naira, 2 naira, legitimate work is better than nothing at all. And you'll find that when you are dedicated and committed in that particular thing, that doors begin to open. It's the law of life. It doesn't matter whether you're a Christian, you're a Muslim, you're a pagan. There are rules, there are laws in life that work regardless of your religion. For example, the law of giving. If you look very well, I'm a Christian. I give in church and all. But when you look at the world, you will not count how many Christians that are billionaires and millionaires. But when you look at those people who are that big, you finally look at their lives, you see that there's an element of giving in their processes. They have learned that thing, and it's a lot that is in the earth. You give, you will receive. So when you are disciplined in any area, you will tend to succeed, unlike somebody who is not disciplined. So look at whatever you find your hand to do and be disciplined in executing that thing with excellence. Be disciplined in executing it with excellence. And so when you find something to do, when you are like, at least, something to do that is paying the bills and is taking care of your very basics, because you're starting out, then try and establish a career path. That's number 2 now. So number 1, we've dealt with either a job or a career. Then number 2, establish a career track. Establishing a career track means that now you are beginning to look at, okay, now I'm selling, or I am into real estate, for example, which is one that is quite common here in Lagos. Most young people, when they finish school, nothing to do, or they can just be agents selling properties or letting properties for different big real estate companies. Then when you have that something going, number 2, try and develop a career track. In developing a career track, there are different ways you can go about it. I believe that this generation is one of the most blessed because of the availability of resources, free online courses, free teachings. There are communities that teach things like data analysis, data science, coding, product development, app development. I mean, I see all kinds of adverts because I belong to an HR community. So a lot of these things come to me and I see them, and sometimes I share them with, a number of young people. But the other problem is that because it is free, a lot of people don't take it seriously. But if you want to take your life seriously, if you want to really, really know and develop a career track, some of these things that come to you, when you take them seriously, you find that you begin to find your feet. The world is growing global. I mean, it has gone digital, it has gone analytical, it has gone artificial intelligence. A lot of things are now being done by machines, and so machine learning and things like that are everywhere. When you go online to places like courses like Coursera, Allison, when you go on YouTube is a minefield of knowledge. I know somebody who learned how to speak French from YouTube. Me, I've been learning for a long time, but I still am not fluent in French, but I have not stopped learning. When the thing catches me, I'll just go open my French YouTube. I'll just learn a few words. Don't spend time in getting entertained. You will get entertained if you want to. If you go on Instagram, for example, you will watch comedy clip after comedy clip after comedy clip. Those people that are doing those comedy clips, they are busy making money. If you don't know, they are influencers. They are making money from other things. They're probably emceeing somewhere. They're probably selling, advertising something for that some organization and being paid because they have built an audience. So except you want to be a comedian on Instagram, and so you want to develop that, don't spend all your data sitting on Instagram and watching comedy clip after comedy clip. Use that time to learn and get a certification to create a career path for yourself. Don't be a consumer, be a developer, be somebody that gives out. And so when you have now found your career path, and within that, so now I'm talking about your work, I've talked about your career, I'm talking about developing a career track. Then develop excellence. And this is where discipline comes in. There's hardly anything you can do without being disciplined. You cannot always be motivated. Trust me. Motivation is not a key to, oh, I'm motivated to do this. That's why you find some people today, they are trying this, they're motivated. After 2 weeks, they're tired of that thing. Tomorrow, they're trying something else. After 3 weeks, they're tired of that thing. There's power in focus. When you focus on developing something, I'll give you some tidbits on some areas that you can look at and you can consider for a career, for example, because you're starting out. Things like technology courses, digital marketing, data analysis. In future, coding is going to be like you speaking English. That is where the world is going. So if you can find coding courses online, begin to just tweak and learn around it. And then somebody who is starting, we cannot do away with Microsoft Excel or Microsoft Word or PowerPoint or any of these other accompanying ones. There's Microsoft Project, there's Access. These things are free of charge. You find them on YouTube. You find from beginning to end, from beginner stage to intermediate to advanced level of all of these courses. Because you cannot go, for example, for a job interview and they will say, do you know how to use Microsoft Office, Outlook, which is for your email, for example, and you will say no. Or they will say, oh, what technology skills do you have? You say, I know how to browse the internet. No, those are not skills. Excel alone, Excel is so complex, it's so huge that having Excel skill is a seller anywhere, anytime. And the Excel has now graduated, there's the one they call Power BI that data analysts use for a data analysis. I've had the privilege of joining some classes and I've learned a few things because Excel, for example, is something I use regularly in the office. And I was shocked to see some of the things that I was struggling with and just a shortcut and it's done. I remember, when I did a short course on my, I just went online on YouTube and I did a mail merge. And before now, we want to send letters to 100 employees and you'll be typing them one by one. I did mail merge within 10 minutes. All the letters were ready. And I showed my manager, it was like a film trick, like we're agonizing about how we're going to send some certain letters. There was a review of contracts and we're just agonizing how we're going to type by 150 or so letters. And in 10 minutes, mail merge had done it. And all these things are online. So when it comes to your work, you must develop your skills. You must start from, number one, you must start from somewhere. Then you need to establish a track. And then you must begin to develop excellence and develop skills that are sellable in the market. So even though the world is developing, the world is growing, things are, improving, there's AI, there's this, there's that. But in Nigeria, for example, we haven't really gotten to that point where human beings are not going to be needed in the workplace. There will always be a need for humans, at least for some years to come. For example, in Nigeria, there will be the need for humans in the workplace. So I've talked on two things, your life and your work. Then I want to talk about a very, very important one, your money. How many of us now don't know that money is important? If you know that money is important, put 1. If money is not important to you, put 2. I want to see your answers or your responses on the chat. How many agree that money is important? So someone say 1. Money is important. It's not the be all and end all, but it is important. And there is plenty of money on the earth. The money that is there has not gone anywhere, and it is not going anywhere, but it is the value that you bring that attracts money to you. We don't pluck money from trees. And I will never encourage any dubious form of making money. But when you bring value to a place, or when you create value in a system, money comes to you. So how does this work? Now, before I go on, one of the ways I learned how to, learn about money was through one very small book called The Richest Man in Babylon. How many people have heard about this book called The Richest Man in Babylon? It is by a man called George S. Clason. It is one very ancient book. If you have heard about The Richest Man in Babylon, please put 1. If you've never heard of it, put 2. If you've never heard of The Richest Man in Babylon, it is a classic. This book is a bestseller forever and ever and ever. And you see this kind of, this is value. This is the kind of value I was talking about when you develop excellence and you bring value. See this man's generation, they will never be in one, because this book will continue to bring, what do they call it? We continue to bring payment to that person's family. Now, from that book, I learned just a few things, and I will encourage you to go back and read. And sometimes I always say, we always live life with a 2020 vision when you look back. And I always say, oh, I wish I'd known this when I started my career in the early, late 90s into early 2000s. I wish someone had told me that, oh, put away some of the money. You don't spend everything. So one of the first things for you, who, when you're just starting, is how do I make this money? How do I make it? You make money through different means. One of the ways you make money is by having a job. So you sell your time to make money, or you sell a product to make money. And there are many legitimate careers and sources of making this money. So you have to now position yourself in a way that you can actually attract the value that you believe you desire or you deserve to make your money. And then when you start making this money, how do I use the money? So that's the one that throws people off all the time, because we feel that we have made the money, let me just spend. Not thought about, how do I use it? What percentage goes into what? Can I put some away? And then sometimes we put away only after we have spent. One of the first rules that I learned that helped me to start building small money, in some investment and things, was, before anything else, I consider my investment as a budget, as part of my budget. So I'm budgeting to buy hair, or to buy shoe, or to buy food. I also budget to invest. Whether it's mutual funds that will give me 5 naira, or it is some small project that I know I can. Okay, so I done cars. I bring a car and resell it, and then make a small profit, put it back, or take away some and then do again. So I do rounds of cars like that, like 2, 3 in a year, aside from other things. So I learned that investment should also be my budget. I should take away my investment as part of my budget and not spend everything. If you can learn to manage 100,000, you can learn to manage 1 million. The Bible says, to whom much is given, much is required. So if you are faithful in little, you'll be faithful in much. If you cannot learn to manage 100, you will not know how to manage 1 million. That's the truth of the matter. It cannot be escaped. So how to use that money? Pay yourself, save some, invest some, and leave. So it's not everything that, then you overtrade, you take everything and then you now start struggling. No, because there are laws on the earth. There's also a law called compound interest. That small thing you're saving will be compounding wherever you put it. And it will be, as it's compounding, it's increasing. And it's best when you actually start early so that you are able to build wealth. Then number 3 is, understand how that money works. Money is not magic. It's not going to fall from trees. It's not going to be something that is just going to come to you, except you have a rich uncle or a rich auntie somewhere that is going to just gift you some big money. But do you know what? Let's look, for example, some of the people that actually steal and steal and steal until the money is coming out of their ears and their nose. Do you know that they steal for the next generation and the next generation comes and can squander it? Because the people who are coming after them do not know the laws of money. When you don't understand a law, ignorance of the law is not an excuse, like they say. So somebody who does not have the understanding of how the law of money works, and they suddenly come into wealth, trust me, they will regress back to status quo because they are not used to that thing at all. They don't know how it works. They don't know where it came from. They just know that money, I 1 million, they'll say, go to this hotel, buy 500 cars, spend 2 million, go and drink, take all your friends, do this, do that. So it is very, very important to also understand how money works. That understanding will also now help you in positioning to know how you can make more, make it work so that it can go further. So in closing, I just want to say a few things aside from what I've already talked about in the 3 items I discussed. Discipline, self-discipline is important. Sacrifice, everything requires a sacrifice. You may sacrifice sleep. You may sacrifice some friendships that do not benefit you. You may sacrifice your favorite television program, for example, in order to develop to such an extent that you are proud of the person that you become. You're proud to be somebody who in future, whom people can also look up to and who can also begin to mentor others so that it doesn't end with you, it continues. And you're somebody that can also lead people to attain to the place where they ought to be, not just to have potential, but to exhibit that potential and bring out their purpose and fulfill their purpose on the earth. So on that note, I would like to end. I'm going to drop the personality test on the chat. I'll put on my camera back. Like I said, I didn't want to be distracted by looking at my face on the camera and everything while I was talking. I'm going to put that personality test. This one is different because there are so many of them, so many types of personality tests that are online. This is one that I just got recently. Okay, this is a more current one. Can you see it? Is it on now? So I've dropped it in the chat. Okay, everyone.
Not yet.
Oh, you can't see it yet. Okay.
Not yet.
Okay. To everyone. Okay. All right. So I've dropped it. So you find the different personality types, the 16 personality types. So in this particular personality type, I think there are 5 or so. Okay, it says 16. So you will see it will break down your personality. It will tell you your strengths, your weaknesses, how to relate, the kind of work you do, how you can improve on it, and all of those things. Those are like foundation building blocks that you can use to begin to grow and to improve and to become, everything that you want to be. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. Over to you, Adesina.
Thank you. Thank you, Joyce. Wow. Like, as you were talking, I was just listening and I was taking notes. I was taking notes for two things. One, because as an instructor, when I tell some of these younger ones, come and learn Excel, come and learn Word, come and learn PowerPoint, they're like, sir, what? PowerPoint? No. I think I can do this thing. I need something that is very strong. I need something that is very hard. And I tell them, from my own personal analytics, 99% of my Excel students, in fact, they even get job before getting their certificate. Because by the time they go out for interviews and a recruiter or an employer is talking to them, that person just sees that value in them that even they themselves, they don't know.
Yeah.
And I must tell you, even one came just yesterday, because we used to have our trainings on Saturday. She came yesterday and she said, sir, I just came back from Imo for a job I went for on Thursday. And as at Friday, they have given.
She had already gotten the job. I think your network is a bit slow. Okay. So if you have any questions, move while additional is coming on, because
and she was not even have my discharge certificate yet.
Yeah, your bandwidth is a bit slow. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, a call just came in, but can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, and anybody that is interviewing you can see that, okay, this person can run my operations. This person will not have any issue to work with my data. This person can make inference from any information that I pass to you, which is beyond you coming with a certificate that, okay, I have certification in this or that. At that initial stage, yes, certification is good as you go along, but at that initial stage, the recruiter or the employer is seeing you as someone that can add value.
Yes.
And because of that, they get hooked up 9/10. So I want to thank you for this, because this week I'm still going back to NYSC camp. And from when you were talking, like, I was just taking notes that you have given me the talk for this next set. Honestly, because 3 things or 4 things that the way you took it, you started from motivation, focus, excellence, and skill. And from personal experience, when I go to camp, you see like 300, 400 people are motivated by my talk. They want to take professional training. They are ready. By the time we start having breakout session, you see like 200 plus. By the time we are done after 1 week, you see like 20 or 30. That will leave. Yes, and when we even get to maybe Port Harcourt and say, let's train, let's start training. Out of those 30, you will now start seeing like maybe 5 or 7 will not take it serious. You start seeing things like, oh, I'm busy with my PPA. And these are trainings that runs on Saturdays, for crying out loud. We even have the options of doing online, which is where discipline comes in. So from your talk, I've learned how to marry all this, because yes, your motivation is not enough. Your focus is not enough. Your excellence is not enough. Even that skill cannot be attained if you don't get to that point of discipline. You have to learn to discipline yourself and say, come what may, I have to see this through.
Yes, absolutely. Very, very.
And I like the points that you raised about money, because some of them will even come and pay. I'll be the one calling them. This training that you have paid for, all the training you said, we have everything in-house. We have data science, data analytics, advanced Excel, programming, coding, up to JavaScript and Python. But you see somebody will come and pay money. After they pay money, after 2-3 weeks, they will run away, and I'll be the one calling them. Come and complete your training. Come and complete your training. Because to them, they just think this is something that will just jump on them. Let me just make this payment, and within 1 month, this skill will just jump on me, or I will just become an expert. Some will even say, sir, I want to be like you. Like, I'm ready. In the next 2 months, I want to be like you. You know, but you just find out that that consistency and that discipline is not there.
Yeah.
You know,
yes.
I give you an example for this meeting from our own personal group. I'm not talking about the general group. From our own personal group, over 300 people were sent links to be on this meeting. But as at this point in time, we have just between 9 to 15 people online.
Yeah.
You know, and tomorrow, some of these people will still come back and say, sir, I'm having this problem, I'm having this challenge, you know. So that is usually a big challenge. And that's why I want to congratulate all those that have
who
made it to this meeting. And I want to tell you that please work with all what you've learned. We are recording the session. We'll still put it on our YouTube link. Go over this again and again as much as you can. This, you are just hearing it from the best. And I'm so happy because of this personality is a HR personnel. Because sometimes when I tell them these things, they don't tend to believe. They feel, okay, it's not what is attainable. Is that HR? If an HR or another company owner tell me this, that is when they will not take it serious. Sir, that thing you were saying 6 months ago, I'm now ready. So now you are hearing it from an HR person. This is what it takes for you to be successful, at least to start your career. By the time you find your footing on your own, you will know how to navigate and go for any tailored training that you think will help your career or your employer at that point in time. But to start with, these are just the basics that if you put in from your motivation to your focus, strive for excellence, gain that skill, and be disciplined while you are doing that, you will see yourself flying. You will see yourself flying, okay? So that is all I have to say. So I don't know if they have questions. If you have any questions for our speaker, please put your questions on the chat box. Then while we are taking questions, I want 1 or 2 people to prepare for a vote of thanks so that we can have that as a closing remark. I think it's better if it comes from you than to come from me again. So 1 or 2 persons should just prepare and indicate for a vote of thanks. So while we are waiting for questions, I have one question. And you were talking about personality, which is good. It's good to know what you can do or what you cannot do. Perfect. But relating that to our Nigeria economy, and I'm asking this because in time past, I've done some recruitment exercise where they will ask for personality tests, mostly Shell Recruitment Day.
Yes,
you know,
yeah.
and yes, and you will see us at that point in time trying to know, like, what are the personality that Shell is looking for in this
the error.
So how? Because because it's not our fault. Because take for instance, if you want to be a field engineer, you need something, you need a personality that is outgoing, that has some form of melancholy, that you can stand your own, you are not afraid of presentation. So how do we manage? How do I'm just asking because this is just like a real life scenario.
I understand. And you want to second guess the employer. And that is where we get it wrong. Now, in the world today, there's a lot of emphasis on diversity and inclusion. Diversity, we're different. We're different. We come with our different biases, our different natures, from cultural, nature versus nurture situations. And inclusion, everybody is to be included, no matter where they're coming from. So it goes as far as saying you are including the transgender or the homosexuals or the lesbians or whatever. The world has come to realize that diverse personalities are important in every group. So you may be thinking that the employer is looking for outgoing personalities, but what the employer is actually looking out for is a diversity of personalities. Because diversity means that everybody is coming with a perspective that you don't expect. You know that they say that two heads are better than one, or two are better than one. I mean, the Bible says two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor. That is the one I can relate to more easily. But they actually say that when you know that when you have somebody that you juggle information and knowledge with, it's usually easier for you to arrive at a solution. For example, when you're in school and you had reading classes and reading groups that you all come together and discussion groups, you find that this one will bring their own, that one will bring their own, that one, and you solve problems faster. So the world has come to realize that diversity matters and diversity is important. And being a diverse workforce is necessary to progress. So for that reason, you can't go to a test and try to second guess the employer to determine what kind of personality they are looking for. They're not, at that point, they're not actually looking for any personality. What they want to know is to know your personality so that they can know what areas they need to work with you in order to improve it. So like I said, every personality has a strength and also has its weaknesses. There is no one that is perfect. But in that strength also can be a weakness. So someone who is too outgoing and talkative will never listen to anybody. So though that person has a strength because they can talk to a customer, they will never hear anything that the customer is saying. So they will need somebody who is a listener to work with that person who is a talkative. So that person is the one hearing what the customer is saying and is able to take notes and bring something back and say, this is what the customer wants. But that one that is talking is only communicating what he knows. Just talking, we just be talking. Because an outgoing person, he wants to tell you he knows, he wants to help you. He's just, he just wants to be helpful. It's just his nature. That's just their nature. So when they bring those personality tests in, be honest. Because you don't want to indicate a personality that you're not. And then you get there and you start struggling. It doesn't make any sense. So when you say that it doesn't work in Nigeria, I know it's not usually administered a lot in a lot of organizations. What we do, for example, is we do the aptitude test. We really don't focus a lot in that. I know the multinationals do, a lot of multinationals do for their entry level. But the real reason is just to know, to understand each person, to see how they solve problems. People solve problems in different ways. Some go around it, some hit it right at the bullseye. So the personality, I know if I've not solved the problem in my head, I won't start solving it on paper. It has to be solved in my head. I would have thought. But some people start writing, and as they're writing, the solution comes. So it's important when you even go for any of those tests and they bring a psychometric or anything, be as truthful as possible. Then let it give you your real, then know the areas you need to work on. So like, for example, you know your personality traits and type, and you go for an interview and ask what are your strengths and your weaknesses. You already know your strengths and you know your weaknesses. And then your weakness, you want to be able to show that weakness, this is what I'm doing in this area of my weakness. And the people that interview will actually appreciate the fact that, okay, you know your weakness and you're doing something about it. That's a positive response. Or like saying, I don't have any weakness. It's not possible. This even helps you, the personality, it helps you know your personality. So that when they go to an interview, sometimes they will ask you questions, tell us about yourself. That interview, tell us about yourself, is very loaded. It's a loaded question. Don't go and tell your father was a king and your mother was a teacher. They just want to understand you, your person. And when they know you, and in that place, you can just chip in. And so where in strength-wise, I know that I am able to do this. So you relate it to that particular job that maybe you are interviewing for. Because sometimes that's another topic entirely. Maybe if we're talking about interviewing and all of those things at some point. You know how to relate it there and say, oh, with this job, I can do this, but I know that sometimes I struggle with ABCD, but this is what I try to do in order not to miss deadlines. For example, if you're a procrastinator, which, someone now and then we all procrastinate on starting projects. Like I said, me, for example, if I don't finish something in my head, it doesn't start on the paper or on the computer. It has to have been finished first, So that's just it. Be honest, be truthful in your psychometric
Wow.
testing. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I can see that we have overshot our time by some few minutes.
Yes,
and there are no questions on the group chat. So I will just call on Felix. Felix, if you could unmute yourself and help us with a vote of thanks to our speaker, that would be appreciated about this point in time. Felix, are you there? Felix, so save our time. I'm guessing maybe it's his network. So let me just check on another person. Let's see, Rashidat. Rashidat, don't be shy, eh? Can you unmute yourself?
And put on your camera.
Aha, yes, Rashidat is here.
I see your pretty face.
How are you?
I'm shy.
Don't be shy.
So can you help us with the vote of thanks very quickly?
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Ma. We do really appreciate having you today on our career day. Personally, I don't really even know that. Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yeah,
yes, can you take that again? Take that again.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
First of all, I would like to appreciate you, Ma. No, first of all, our amiable engineer. Thank you very much for hosting her. And Ma, hello?
Hello, yes, we can hear you. Continue.
Okay. It's really a pleasure meeting you. I've been wishing and hoping to meet an HR, that's human resource management, right?
Yes.
Today I'm said that I learned a lot from you, just like when you talk about personality check, discovering yourself. I never even knew that is also part of an interview. That okay, I've been seeing your strength, your weakness on some interview questions or on other means. But today I can boldly say that I've really learned a lot. Thank you very much, and may God bless you. I hope to see you next.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you to everyone from start to finish who joined. Thank you. Yeah, actually, I can see you smiling. This is nice to, yeah, that's you. All right. So thank you so much for hosting me, engineer. I appreciate this opportunity. It's always a good time to have conversations so that we can actually understand better, because when we know better, we do better, like they say. So it's been an honor talking to all of you. Thank you for having me. Thank you, and have a nice evening.
Thank you, Ma.
Bye.
It's a pleasure as always. And
Yeah.
I'm happy you can see the smile on Rashida's face. Hold on, don't go yet. So hold on, don't run out. So please, if you may, I know you're on LinkedIn, and I'm advocating for them to have a culture on LinkedIn whereby they could just chat you up. So please, if you can drop your LinkedIn username so that they can locate you on LinkedIn and follow you if they have questions. One or two.
Reach out. You can reach
know
out.
you are very busy person, but I know you always get back to them in inbox once they are placed, if you may. Our full name on LinkedIn. Finishing strong with your LinkedIn this December, and this is one of the persons that you would love to have on your LinkedIn profile. Okay, as you go along, keep building your profile, keep building strength, and I bet you, just like I used to say, the sky is your starting point, because you are leveraging on our own insights. You are leveraging on the experiences we've gained along the line. So we've made a lot of mistakes. I used to tell my friends then that I've written interviews in my life. So now when they come with interviews and tests, I will just laugh, because maybe some 8-9 years ago, I've written interview in that company. And I made mistakes because I didn't have anybody to tell me. Most times I make mistakes is when after I make the mistake, I now realize, okay, this is how we should be. But most of these companies, they won't even call you twice. Once they've called you once and you missed it, that is all. Because we have a lot of young graduates. So now you guys are learning from our experiences, put it to practice, and you will just discover that you are going for those jobs, you are hitting those jobs, you are getting the jobs, and you are getting better. Okay? So I'm still waiting, Ma. We are still waiting for your LinkedIn.
I'll put it
or maybe
down.
I could share it with them later on.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
but I want you to come here so that all those ones that will watch later won't come and be disturbing you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's there now. Yeah.
Because some of them, is when they watch the recording now, they will not run. Man, I was with AIGE. So it's only those that are online would connect.
Oh, yeah.
The other ones will just follow up with a recorded session. That's all.
Don't mind my LinkedIn page. I don't do anything on it.
Link?
If you contact me, I will respond. It's not as robust as it should be. I know some people are very correct. A lot of us were so busy with work that we just put something there so that if you're looking for us, you'll find us.
Yes.
So, I know I need to work on it. I've been saying that forever.
Yes. The major thing is the contact.
Yes, contact is there. Yeah.
The major thing is the contact, actually. And you guys can just state from AIGE Limited so that she will know that you are from us.
Yes.
That is the benefit of staying till the end.
Yeah.
Great. So thank you, Auntie Joyce.
All right. Okay.
I think we can call it a day here.
All right. Also send me the recording. I want to listen.
So I wish everybody. I
can learn something too.
No problem.
Okay.
No problem. The recording will be available. Once it's available, I'll send the link to you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
We'll be having the December. Don't miss the December session. December, we'll be looking at two important factors. We'll be looking at tests and interviews, and somebody from our midst, one of our past trainees, have been doing very well. I'll be bringing him up to anchor it, to tell you how to pass those tests, how to write those aptitude tests. He has written like 20 and he has passed like 15. So he knows how to pass it. And sometimes it's better to send the younger ones so that they will help you because they are really fresh with these things. So he will be anchoring that for December. We will let you know the time when the time comes. But for now, we are going to end this session. Thank you everyone for being a part of this session. And I wish you a lovely evening and happy December in a few days' time.